Hi, I'm Holly Kluth, also known as Your Home Specialist Holly on Instagram and Facebook. I'm a realtor and former law enforcement officer that loves everything about homes, community, and you. I'm here to serve heroes and anyone else that wants personalized, trusted, compassionate help buying or selling a home. Hi folks, we are here today with Toby Damish. He is the Chief Deputy Assessor for Douglas County. And we're going to talk a little bit about taxing districts, the range of taxes you may pay in different areas of the county. We're going to talk about exemptions, just a little bit about that, and whatever else Toby wants to talk about. He's kind of an expert in this. Toby, how long have you been with the Assessor's office here in Douglas County?
Well, first, Holly, thank you for having me today, and I'm really thrilled that you're doing this. Property taxes in Colorado are pretty complicated and tricky to understand, so I'm happy to help anyone, and I'm just thrilled that you're doing this today. I've been doing this since 1998 in Colorado. I started this work in Iowa before that, so it's been over 20 years, and it's been a challenge, that's for sure.
Toby, why don't you tell the folks listening why it's so important to look closely at the particular home that they're thinking about buying and how much it varies by location.
And in Douglas County, as in many counties in Colorado, the tax rate can vary quite significantly from one property, from one neighborhood to the next. So any home that buyers are interested in, one of the first things they should do is look at what the local mill levy is. Now, that levy can vary for a lot of reasons, but the big reason in Front Range counties, including Douglas County, is the existence and the type of metropolitan district that exists. You know, one neighborhood can have a metropolitan district whose bonds are paid off, and as a result of that, its mill levy, its share of the mill levy for the total is quite small. In new neighborhoods and in some old neighborhoods, those levies tend to be quite big. And the result of that is you can have a similarly valued property in two different locations in the county. In one location, the tax rate could be double or even triple that of the other location. And that could result in completely different and monthly payments when those taxes are included in the monthly payment.
You know, I did a little survey of 4 or 5 properties around Douglas County and looked at kind of an assessed value of $560,000 to $580,000, and the taxes on those 5 houses differed anywhere from $3,300 a year to $6,700 a year. That's almost a $300 a month difference in taxes depending on the districts.
That's correct, and it can be even more than that, but that is certainly no exception. It's very common to have that type of range, and it's not just metropolitan districts. You could have a property that is inside or outside of a city or town, and thus have a mill levy for that particular jurisdiction. But really, metropolitan districts in Douglas County make the significant portion of the difference because we're all paying into the same school district. We're all paying into the same county government levy. So the metropolitan districts really create the reason for that broad range.
Yeah. How many different taxing districts are there in the county?
There's over 300 of those. Wow. And it's interesting, if you were to look at the chart of the creation of those districts over time, prior to the 1990s, you really had very few. We had way over 100, just a few dozen. But in the past 30 years, as the county has grown so quickly, each of these developments that have been added and created over those 30 years have included a metro district, almost every single one of them. It's very uncommon for there to be a new development that does not have a metropolitan district to pay for that infrastructure. And so the number of districts have really exploded. We're well over 300 now, and almost all of them levy a tax. Another reason why it's important to check that total levy when you're shopping for a home.
Yeah. What is the range of mills that someone might pay? And maybe you can just really briefly describe how taxes are calculated and how the number of mills is something to look at.
Absolutely. The lowest total mill levy in Douglas County tends to be in the Castle Rock area, like just outside of Castle Rock or even in downtown Castle Rock, where the total mills are in the 60s. Conversely, we have neighborhoods whose total mill levies are as high as 170 or 180. And typically that's because you have a metropolitan district whose levy is quite excessive, upwards of 70, 80, or 90 just for that one service district.
So if you're looking at a home, sometimes those things that you have to decide what you want to pay for may include, if you see something that has a high metro district, what kinds of things do those include?
Well, the base thing that the metro district always includes is whatever infrastructure that was installed when the subdivision was created. The metropolitan district debt exists, after all, to amortize and finance the initial infrastructure that was put in a neighborhood. And so you have a significant mill levy, which is used to pay off those bonds, and that mill levy can be set to be pay those bonds off over 20, 30, or 40 years or more. And so you don't necessarily get services at all. And then there are some communities that have additional services, more traditional services, that that mill levy contributes to the financing for. And that could be the operation and maintenance of open space. And in some cases, there might be HOA activities that the Metro District pays for and provides a service for that revenue contributes to.
Is it important to look at the water districts that you are paying taxes to on your home bill?
Yeah, the water districts are different than the service districts in that they're meant to not just deliver the water, but also purchase water for future use. In other words, purchase rights and develop those rights. And so when you go from one property to another in Douglas County, the water districts can change and vary significantly, just like the metropolitan districts.
Toby, I heard that there is a senior exemption in Douglas County and may even be a new law that affects veterans' families.
Yes, there is a great law in the state of Colorado called the senior exemption. That's shorthand for the senior and disabled veterans exemption, and it has changed recently. Prior to this year, with that exemption applied to individuals who are 65 years of age or older and who have owned and lived in their home as a primary residence for at least 10 years. The exemption will subtract $100,000 of actual value from the assessor's appraisal and thus reduce taxes by a commensurate amount. The law also applies to disabled veterans. So if the Veterans Administration has declared an individual 100% disabled, a veteran that is, then that individual can apply for and receive the exemption as well.
That's great.
And furthermore, as you mentioned, a change was made in this last legislative session where they added Gold Star spouses to the list. And we're really thrilled about this change. And it's been requested and asked for quite a few years, and we're finally getting it. So if you have spouses or individuals who lost their spouse due to military service, then that spouse is now qualified for the senior exemption.
That's great. Yeah, I think that's the least we can do for our service members that have died in the line of duty.
I agree.
So, Toby, I've been on the Assessor's website, and there is just a plethora of information about homes in the area. You can look up a home, and then it gives you examples of all the homes around it, and you can check all kinds of things. Can you talk just briefly about your website and how many things that offers for people looking to buy a home, maybe looking at selling their home, just trying to compare themselves to their neighbors?
Yeah, first of all, if you simply Google Douglas County Assessor's Office and do a search, we almost always come up as the first result from that. And when you go onto our website, which has been redone a few years ago and won awards for its level of functionality and transparency. And so there's information there about improvements, land characteristics, the value of the different segments of a property. One of the most important things, and we've been talking about this, are what are the various taxing authorities that a property pays into, and what are each of their mill levies.
Yep.
And so the total mill levy is available, as well as the levy of each one of those individual authorities, as well as the contact information for each of those authorities, if you want to do some further research and find why those levies are what they are.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. The transparency is just huge, and as well as just user-friendly. It's easy to go in there and search for all kinds of things. So if you want to know anything about the property you're looking at or your own property, go to the Douglas County Assessor's website, and you can get to just about everything. What else, Toby? Anything else super interesting to talk about?
Well, I don't know if you want to talk about the reappraisal or not. I'll leave that up to you, but that's obviously something that's very relevant today.
So what's going on with taxes in the future? Home prices have gone up. They've come down just a little bit recently, but how did what happened this last summer with our home prices skyrocketing here in Douglas County, how's that going to affect people that live here next year or looking at buying a home next year or selling their home?
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to understand how this works. Colorado assessors do not reappraise property every year. They do it every 2 years. And so most of the current assessments that we have and other assessors have on properties in Douglas County are quite low. Not all, but most of them are. Colorado assessors are in the process of reappraising all the properties in their districts as we are currently, and it's called the 2023 reappraisal. And we expect values to go up significantly across the board, residential, commercial, and vacant land, and in most neighborhoods throughout the county. So it's really important for buyers today who are in the market to be careful not to use the current assessment and the current taxes as an estimate of future taxes. They really need to be aware that a reappraisal is coming, and that's going to make it different for taxes moving forward. As for taxes, for the most recent tax bill this coming January, those are known, and so they shouldn't anticipate any difference there from what we're showing on our website. But in 2024, this situation is certainly going to change.
Okay, so we're looking at 2024 as far as a possible change there.
That is correct. The last time we performed a reappraisal was 2021, and our appraisal date was June of 2020. And so we'll be moving forward that appraisal date to June of 2022, which means a couple of things. We'll be accounting for 2 years of price appreciation, and we all know that there's been record price appreciation in that 2-year period. And we will not be accounting for anything that happens after June of 2022. And most of us know what's been going on most recently, which is a softening market. So that makes it a complicated scenario, but one that everyone needs to be aware of.
Well, this information's been just hugely interesting, and I just want to thank you, Toby, for spending time educating the citizens of Douglas County and for your years of service there. Thank you so much for all your information and for your expertise.
And thank you so much, Holly, and thank you for assisting us and helping educate our citizens. We really appreciate it.
You bet. All right. Thanks, Toby.
Thank you. Bye-bye.